Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depends upon when you're listening. Welcome to The Solution. Nothing changes if we change nothing. And we are the New York City Prevention Resource Center. We're housed at Children's Aid, and we are funded by OASIS, New York State OASIS, actually, the Office of Addiction Services and Support. So we're happy to be here with you. Wow, we actually recorded 2 episodes in a row weekly, so we're not taking months off. How you doing, Chevar?
I'm cool, man. Again, like I said last episode, if you see the sun on my face, I'm happy. I'm a sun person. I'm pretty sure it's cold outside, but that's not the case. That doesn't matter. It is the case, but it doesn't matter as long as the sun is out. I'm happy. I actually thought about living in one of those countries where there's like 12 or 14 hours or 3 months of sunlight. I don't know if I could take that. Although I'm a sun person.
Right. That's all the time. So you'd have very little time to kind of have darkness.
Yeah. So I do think I would probably need some nighttime. Not a lot, but I don't know if I can do 18 hours of sunlight or 6 months of sunlight.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, isn't Alaska? Aren't they dark for a certain time of year and light for other parts of the year?
Yeah, so yeah. And that's the other part. I don't think I could do months of darkness. I would, no. 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 Like, I'm freaking out and, having how many hours of darkness we have now? About 14 hours or something like that?
It's getting there. Well, when we hit the 21st, that'll be the shortest day of the year. And then after the 21st, it turns around and starts going the other way.
I'm counting down the days. Counting down the days.
Yeah, it's always hard getting up in the morning when it's really dark out. I kind of like it though when it's just kind of. I like that. I don't like a bright light in the morning. I like it when it's just starting to come up and you have this peaceful entry into the day. And then in the evening, a little bit, an hour or so after dinner, it starts to come down again. I mean, I'm out there now in the dark because I run my dog Hannah, my little one. I run her at night right after dinner. So we're out there around 6:15 in the dark. We have a light in the backyard, but this dog sees everything. I mean, it doesn't matter what ball I throw. She's flying through the air, catching it. And I'm like, where'd the ball go? Where'd the ball go? Youth. But I would like it if I could just have a little light to see the ball.
Well, after the 21st,
it'll start happening. So moving by March, I may be able to see the ball.
I love the sunset. To your point, having the sun gradually come up and over the horizon and well, I live in New York City, over the buildings, the tall buildings. I love it. I do appreciate it. I do like when I do travel and go, and especially when we leave in the country, because a lot of countries don't have as many tall buildings as we do in New York. Sure. I like to wake up and see the actual sunset.
Mm-hmm.
I like seeing it. The sunrise. Rather, I like seeing both. I like seeing. Oh, that's where you went. Well, that's where you came from.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of gives you like an entry to the day and a closure on the day.
Yeah, it's your start and your beginning. It's your alpha and your omega, so to speak. So I do appreciate that. But the sun is out. It's still winter, and we still have work to do. And like the last episode, we talked about gratitude and giving flowers, and we're gonna continue that with the conversation of prevention.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about that although we said it at the last episode, that episode for me was a bit therapeutic. To talk, to share. Dad, Ronnie, share and talk, because I did a lot of talking that last episode.
We both did. Well, something I didn't get to share this with you. When I was at the office yesterday, and I went out to we were right around the corner from Whole Foods, for those who don't know, and I'm walking around to Whole Foods to get some soup and some cornbread. That used to be one of my favorite lunches: Italian wedding soup and cornbread. And I see a man in really bad shape, and I couldn't even tell you how old he was because I don't know. The drugs he probably has done for a long time probably made him look older than he is. Mm-hmm. And he was skin and bones. He had his shoes off. He was barefoot. Mm-hmm. He had his coat off. And he had contorted his body into into a shape that is not even human. I don't know how he did it. And he was writhing in agony. And he was just like, people were passing him and looking at him. They were like, oh, he's on drugs. And I'm, out there being the advocate saying, yes, but he's human.
Absolutely, yes.
And he's suffering. We can't just. So a woman came up to me and asked me for, a signature for getting someone on the ballot. And I said, you know what? I don't care about that at this moment. This man is suffering. We have to help him. So she said, okay, what do you need me to do? And this third woman stopped, and the three of us are strategizing, and he is just writhing. He literally was doing things that I didn't know the human body could do. He was balancing himself on his ankles, where his whole body was curled up, and he was. Oh, wow. It's the agony of addiction. It really hit me. And so she called 911, and I hear her getting frustrated. She's explaining to them exactly where, and she's saying, yeah, he's overdosing. I said, no, he's not overdosing. He may be convulsing. I said, I don't know, but they need to know that he's taken a large amount of drugs and that he's really in trouble, that he's out in the cold and he's just in trouble and he needs help. And one woman passed by and said, oh, he'll be out in a minute. They'll take him and he'll be right out. I said, yeah, but maybe that'll be the minute where he gets it. I said, I'm not going to stop trying until there's nothing to try for. So she called and we all got involved together, and I tried to talk to him because he was holding a pipe. And I said, yo, sir, what's in that pipe? What'd you smoke? Just, let me help. I don't want help. And I could barely understand it because he was kind of garbled and grunting. And I said, well, we're going to offer it to you, and you could choose not to take it. But I'm not going to give up on you because I care. You don't care. I said, well, I do, but it's okay. We're going to do what we can do. So I left for a little while to go into Whole Foods. I bought a sports energy drink in there, figuring he might need some electrolytes when he kind of is ready to eat or drink something. Or some sugar to just get him going. I came out and the EMTs were already there. They had him standing up, and he was going onto the stretcher, and he was going to go into the ambulance with them. Will he be out in the street again later? Probably, but at least he was going to have a meal, hopefully, or if not a meal, at least some fluids. He was going to get, back a little bit in shape. And if he's out there again, well, we'll keep trying. It's the whole thing. We never give up. And I walked away with such gratitude that I found recovery. And, and I even told him, I said, yeah, I do care. I said, I'm a recovering addict. I care. But it was just to see how a human being can be reduced to something like that because of the pain inside of them and that, and the devastation of this disease. And it kind of was for me an aha moment. It was like a slap in the face of, that I'm never going to stop trying. I am just never going to stop. We do prevention. Do we always see it work? No, a lot of times we don't. But we also don't see it when it does work because our message gets carried to people. And I may never see this man again, but maybe somewhere down the road I'll remember those women who try to help. And I realized this is what prevention is.
No, I appreciate the woman who you said, I can't silence for now. I need to help this individual, and her say, okay, what do we need to do? Right? Yeah. It's not for you. I'm not, again, it's not an attack on her. I don't know how she'd have handled. Maybe she saw him and take it into consideration because she's doing her job. She's out there to do her job. It's just her job is service to whatever elected official, not service to the people. But I think for her, it could be an aha moment where it's like, well, whatever that politician is, there are people out here who need help. And this is what I did today. Take that back to whomever you're getting signatures for. Take that back to that individual and say, hey, these people need help. And I'm glad she stopped. We know it. Screw the signatures. Let's help this individual. And that means a lot.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me too. And we talked afterwards. I talked with him afterwards, okay. And we just talked, and we both said, this is where we need to put our focus, no matter who wins this election. And obviously, and it wasn't even somebody I necessarily knew, but it was about their right to run if they want to. It was more about rights, and we both agreed it doesn't matter whoever's we need to see people get the help they need, and and again, they're not always going to take it, but just to know it's there for them. If somebody keeps trying to help you, eventually you might actually start to believe in it. You might not, but I'm not willing to not try. But it was, it's one of those things that rattled me in so many ways, but it also made me feel good inside. And said, okay, I did the right thing. But anyway.
Well, that's good. You did do the right thing. And that's all that matters. Like I always say in life, you do your part. And whatever your part looks like, and then from there, the individual, or people or a group or situation, how they have to either accept it or just look at. I mean, accept it or take it out. One of the things I learned is like learning how people are going to receive things from you, or individual or groups are going to receive things. Because like the individual, the gentleman that you said that you care, and he wasn't ready to receive that you cared, because he probably heard or probably believes that no one cares.
Right. And he hears people passing by saying, oh, he's doing drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and
the obvious.
We know this, but what does that mean? And there were enough people who were like, oh, I'm so glad you called, or they say, he may be doing drugs, but he's a human being doing drugs. And
yeah.
They said, yeah, that's true. That's true. So I got to deliver a message in so many ways yesterday, and it was very gratifying.
I think the question is like, why is that to where people pass by? Is it like, it's not my problem, or it's like, what can I do, or how do I do it? That's the question I have for people in general, even myself. It's like, I sometimes I do pass people. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'll be a liar. And when I'm talking to someone interesting, because we have a guest coming in. But yeah, like that's my question for people. What is it? Is it because you don't know the individual? Is it because of fear, or it's like it's not your problem? Like, what's the situation? Like
all of the above.
All of the above.
Maybe people are numb to it. Maybe it just hurts. Maybe someone has personal experience and it's hurtful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We have a guest coming in. I'm gonna let this guest in.
Because you were talking.
Exactly. There you go. The interruption hasn't happened in a while because we haven't had never recorded all. But we said that, not gonna dwell on that. While our guest comes in, we can continue this conversation. But again, that's the question I have for people. Like, what is it that, or how can we change your mindset?
Yeah. Well, here's Willie.
Willie the Genius is our guest for today. How are you?
Hi. I'm great. You see, I got all dolled up for you.
You did. You look wonderful.
Why, thank you.
Yeah. Your smile just puts me aglow. Every time you smile, I just feel this warm energy that permeates my entire soul.
Ronnie, you're going to make me smile at you all the time. Even in sad situations, don't do that.
I just feel like you and I have known each other before in another life, and you're just a spirit who's come back into my life.
Absolutely. Oh, you gave me goosebumps. I don't know if you can see.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Thank you. And likewise.
And now I'm getting goosebumps. Now because I'm sitting in the cold room in the house.
It's good to see both of you.
Well, Willie, welcome to the show, The Solution. Nothing changes if we change nothing. Tell us about yourself. Who are you? How, what do you do? We have Ronnie actually say this question before you came on. Like, how did you get your name? But let's start with, who are you? Introduce yourself. What do you do? Yeah, let's go.
All right. So my name is Willie the Genius. I'm going to throw my pronouns out too, for those who may not know me. My preferred pronouns are they, them, theirs, or she or hers. I am an entertainer, I'm a producer, and I'm a community resource activist. And just to, I guess, delve a little bit even more to the community resource activism of it all, I understand that a lot of communities that I belong to, specifically the Black community and queer and trans community, are both severely under-resourced, and mostly by design, right? Because the system of capitalism needs a underclass, needs a working class, needs someone who is forced to labor in order to make the rich get richer, right? Because they need more money. Not really. And so I understand too, as a Black American, specifically from Texas, which is the reason that we actually celebrate Juneteenth, right? Because my ancestors found out, I believe it was 2 years, either a year or 2 years later, that slavery had actually ended. And so, and understanding the fact that we had, 250 years of free and forced labor, which allowed these people who have so much wealth to build their wealth. If we want less crime, if you want Black and brown folk to stop running up in people's houses in the suburbs, maybe if we had some of the money that we built, that we helped, and not even help, we were the actual commodity, right? We were some of the first stocks traded on the stock exchange were Black bodies. So if you want less crime, if you want, even when it comes to, substance use, if we want to kind of take, which we do, right? We want to prevent that, and we also want to lessen the harm of that. Then we need to reallocate these resources to the people who actually deserve them. And so I will spend the rest of my life making sure that that is something that is at the forefront of these politicians' minds. And of course, the people who actually have the money, right? The actual billionaires and millionaires and people who have profit, and corporations that are still around today who have profited from my ancestors' labor. So, yeah, that's a little bit what I do.
That's amazing. Well, you do more. You do more.
I do. Wait, that's what a little bit of what I do.
So let's talk about how we know you, Willie. We know you from the coalition that you're currently working with, and that's Eyes on the HMI.
Yes.
Can you talk about how did you come to that work?
Absolutely. So, I use the title of being, like I said, an entertainer, a producer, which I have a theater show called Willie Gets Naked. Theater show called Willie Gets Naked, and then also a late night talk show of the same name, Willie Gets Naked, the series. And if the series follows, as I take the theater show from Brooklyn to Broadway. And of course, people their eyes always widen when I say Willie Gets Naked. They're like, or they ask the question, well, does Willie get naked? And the answer is always yes. Absolutely, honey. No false advertising over here. Okay. But the whole purpose of it, of getting literally naked and also figuratively naked, is for 7 years I was in an addiction to crystal meth, right? And I'm now 4 years and 6 months sober from that addiction, as of the 7th, sorry. And for me, I understand that what kind of kept me in that addiction was the inability to discuss the things that I really needed to talk about, right? From family trauma and drama that was always squashed. And anytime it tried to come up, people in my family would always kind of like try to quiet it down, And then I realized that as I would go into some of these systems, from working to school and whatnot, anytime there was some type of injustice and I tried to speak on it, it would always be silenced. And so, I realized the pattern that we are taught to not talk about the thing we need to. And because of that work in sobriety, actually confronting it on stage, having a conversation with the audience, right? That's all a part of the show. The Hedrick Martin Institute reached out to me and asked if I would help run their youth sobriety coalition. So since the top of this year, I have been helping to run the EYES Coalition, which stands for Engaging Youth Who Engage in Substances. Now, for me, because I have what I call a second lease on life, or a new lease on life, if you will, just, after becoming sober, a large part of that is making sure that, as I call them, my babies, my queer and trans, Black and brown, and of course, cisgender and heterosexual, really anyone who has a full life ahead of them, I want them to be able to access the fullness of that existence and not to have to rely on coping mechanisms like substances, or harmful coping mechanisms, I should say. And so it was a no-brainer for me to take the role. And it has been one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done in my life. I don't want to get emotional because I will cry. I will cry. I'll cry right now, okay?
Willie, this is a safe space. You can cry. We cry here. We cry here.
Yeah? Okay, well, we're all going to cry.
It doesn't work like that, Willie.
No, I don't usually cry in demand unless I'm, you need me to, and then I can act. But I'm being me. So, but you'll touch me, and I know that. I hear, the young people when you work with young people, it just fills you up.
Yeah, my God, it has changed my life. Even, me now, identifying. So, okay. So like I said, top of this year, I started working, at the agency and with the organization, with the coalition. And 2 months into the job, I was like, wait a minute. I knew in my body and in my mind that I identified as being trans femme, but I didn't give myself permission to actually transition until I met these babies, till I met these young folk who are in their power, are in their power, and they know they are. And once again, the reason why they come to HMI, which we do incredible work. We have a clothing pantry, right? So from some of our youth who are unhoused, they have access to clothing. And I'm talking nice clothes. Two of our biggest sponsors are Rag & Bone and Coach. So it's nice to see these youth walking around with their Coach bags and their Coach wallets and their Coach. They got, if you name it, they are coached out, okay? And I love to see that for them. We also provide Monday through Saturday. We give them 1 meal a day. They come in and they get dinner, and then they're able to go to 2 different blocks of programming. There's also a shower for them and a laundry for them to be able to do their clothes. So once again, if they're living on the trains, if they're living in the park temporarily, they have a place that they can come get a little reprieve, and be in community. And so I'm telling you, it's just, like I said, we do incredible work. And so these youth, they're under-resourced, once again, right? That's why they come there. It's because they're under-resourced. But they have a moral compass and a personal, what would I call it? A personal constitution that is better than folk, or more sound, I'll say, not better, but more sound than people that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. It's mind-blowing, and it has been transformative for me. And so, yeah.
That's so cool and so inspirational. I see. I didn't know that part of your story.
Oh, yeah. Well, which part?
Well, the part about your own self-identification and how you came to that place, and that these youth were so influential in helping you discover yourself.
Absolutely. I can feel it. I can feel the tears sitting behind this one eye. I can feel it. It's sitting there. But I'm telling you, because I didn't know, right? Like I would say I socially transitioned about 2 years ago. So roughly 2021. I socially transitioned, and began using the pronouns they, them, she, her. And just to be clear too, because I know sometimes the pronouns can throw people. And I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, the reason why I even utilize the whole they, them is I understand right now, some people look at me and they still see a man. They still see a masculine person, a male-bodied individual. And sometimes it's a big leap to tell them, oh, no, I'm not a he, him. If you can only be left or right binary, then I'm she, her. That can be a big leap for someone who is like, wait a minute, I don't see a girl, so I'm not going to call you a she. Well, then my thing is, okay, you can go middle of the road and just call me they, them then, if that helps, But I let them know they, them, she, her, never a he. Never a man. Manhood is for people who choose it and they enjoy it, and good for them. And manhood is not good for me, and it's not something that I choose to sign up for. I didn't sign up for it. And so I'm like, give those rules and expectations to other people. They don't fit me. And I don't wear things that don't fit me, darling. So, yeah.
Willie, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back to the statement you talked about with the young people that you and HMI work with, and the supports that you give them. And let's talk about prevention. Like, how do you, because that is a form of prevention, but how do you, in your own words, define prevention, drug prevention to you? Because we actually had this discussion in our last episode, and Ronni and we're talking, because everyone defines it differently. When I came on this work, I didn't fully understood that I was doing prevention until Ronni explained it to me.
Yeah, so thank you for that. It's so interesting to me because that's something that I still grapple with, tussle with, right? Like I'm still Okay, so part of my genius is the word, the spoken word, like the word in general, spoken, unspoken word too, right? Because sometimes what we don't say is it's just as loud of a communication as what we do say, right? The written word, as a performer, the song, the singing, writing music, like all of that, right? I understand. And I should mention, I am a Virgo, which is a sign, which is a zodiac sign that's ruled by Mercury, which is known as the communicator, right? It's the messenger god, if you will. Also, my degree is in mass communication, and I went to the Dan Rather School of Communication, where I was homecoming king. I always got to throw that in there, right? So for me, words matter, right? And how we frame things really do matter. And a lot of times I've noticed that words, even the definition given for certain things, is not what the word has evolved to today. And so, anywho, when it comes to prevention, for me, in my body and in my mind, prevention and harm reduction kind of go hand in hand, right? Because what I see as prevention is us as a society, as a collective, decreasing risk factors. Yeah, like I did that. I got that from your training. Look at that. Is decreasing risk factors, which typically would put people at risk to use a substance, right? And so to me, that's the same as harm reduction, right? So for me, harm reduction is, okay, it can be literal. I mean, not literal. Let me say more fine-tuned in the sense of if someone is using a substance, helping them to use that particular substance better. Or it can be, to me, is because I understand substance use, it sits on top of unresolved trauma. To me, harm reduction is also stopping the thing that causes the trauma, right? So that there is nothing to have to cope with. I think that once again, I am very clear that part of the addiction that I went through was exacerbated by being under-resourced. Once again, like hearing these stories from my elders, my ancestors, that have passed on, but also my elders who are still living, about other elders who were formerly enslaved Africans, right? Who had to work and didn't receive any money. And then knowing that it was expected for me to go to college and get the degrees, which I did. It was a part of, 13 different organizations in school. And then I graduated from college and I got the job with Red Bull. And then I went on a marketing tour with Camel cigarettes and all of these things, but still being underpaid for what I was bringing to the table. And so it felt like a generational curse. It's like, okay, so my ancestors were forced to work for free. I'm forced to work and do all the things, but receive just partial of what was expected. And that was heavy. And that really led to me using, it wasn't the only thing, it was the other aspects, but it was a large part of it. And so my thing is, if we give the resources, right, maybe we can then prevent the chain of reaction from whatever is caused from being under-resourced, or once again, being traumatized, if you will. So,
Willie, I do have a question, and if you don't want to share it, that's totally fine. You talked about being sober for 4 years in 7 months, in 6 months. 6 months. I was close. December 7th was the date, and that's my mom's birthday, Sagittarius. Shout out to my mom.
Okay.
What made you want to stop using or become? What's that journey? But what has that journey been like for you?
And
I'm sorry if you don't want to know. If you don't, I'm so sorry. I don't want to pry. I'm only sick because you shared. And if you don't want to share, it's totally fine.
Willie gets naked. Everything is okay with me. No, it's the work, and that's my thing is we got to have these conversations. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, so thank you for asking that. Actually, can you ask it one more time so I can?
No, and I'm also asking it for people who are listening, who may be struggling, right?
Okay.
Who may see you as a because you shared a lot today, right? You talked about, you know, you had a social transition amongst yourself a few years ago, but coming here working with these young people, they actually open your eyes and like, you know what, I can do this.
Yes.
You know, and you can, and for me, hearing your story, someone listening to this or watching this can say, you know what, you are my guiding light. You are. So what made you change? What made you say to make the decision to say I have to stop this? And what has that journey been like for that? Is it like
okay? Thank you for that. No, that's so good. That's so good. So this is what we're about to go through a portal right now. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay. So and I'll try to keep it succinct. I like to say that there were 3 turning points in me getting sober. I'm going to try to remember all 3 of them, but also I should mention that I'm just going to tell it and then it'll build on itself. So initially, and I need to be frank, I need to be very open and honest with some of these things, okay? So part of what caused or part of the addiction, part of what held me in the addiction was the fact that I found out in, y'all ready? April 1st, 2020.
okay, wow. Okay, I think we share part of the story. The listeners don't know this.
Okay.
Wow. If you don't want to share, I totally understand.
It's fine. I literally do this for a living. It's fine. You not see that headed to Broadway? This is what I do, okay? So April 1st, 2011, I found out that I had contracted HIV. And within that, which was incredibly hard. I had just moved to New York. I hadn't even been in New York City for a year from Houston, Texas, right? Within that first year of finding out that I contracted, actually within a few months, that November, I was on a website. I won't drop the website. I've said it before, but people were like, okay, I'm spilling too much secrets. So I was on this website where men go to find other gay men, and someone had they posted and asked, they sent me a message, a DM, and asked if I partied with a capital T, right? And I'm like, okay, I go to parties, I guess. And he's like, no, this ain't that party with a capital T. It's code word for Tina, which is the nickname for crystal meth. So next thing I know, a guy comes over. He brings the substance with him. We use it, and then we do adult things for the rest of the night. Next thing I know is 9 hours later, and we're still doing these things. Fast forward, I think it's going to be a one-off usage, and because I had tried other substances. I had tried cocaine while I was on the marketing tour. We actually did it as a team. The whole marketing team did the cocaine together. That's how ubiquitous and widespread it was. Anywho, so we have that instance, and I don't do it for a while, and then before I know it, someone else offers it, and I take it. And then someone else offers it, and then I take it. And then before I know it, I'm in the center of this drug addiction. And I realize, and I'm about maybe 2.5, 3 years, and no, maybe a little longer. After using for a little bit longer, I realized that what had brought me and kept me in that addiction was the fact that I felt unsexy after, and not just unsexy, but undesirable after finding out that I contracted the virus of HIV, right? Because a lot of times you hear when people find out someone's HIV positive, it's, oh, you sick. Or even the language of asking people. That's why even in sobriety, I try not to use the term of clean, because it implies that the person is dirty, filthy, disgusting, right? And so when people are talking to people who are HIV positive, they'll say, oh, are you clean? Yes, I'm clean, and I'm HIV positive. Now what? Let's have an adult conversation if we're going to talk, right? And so, anywho, I realized that I needed to, in order to get rid of this addiction, that I had to heal every reason that I came to the drug to get. And I think that is the hardest work. So I gave myself permission. And I am not saying that this is a good thing, right? Or not a good thing, but I am not advising anyone to do this at all. But I knew for Willie, if I did not go and give myself everything that I came to that drug to get, that I was going to die using this drug. And I didn't want that to happen. So I gave myself permission to lean in and be this sexual being, right? And I gave myself permission to have as much sex as I needed. And I did. And I won't go too much into detail on that. But I realized even after having all of these really incredible, I'll say, sexual experiences, or liberating, very liberating sexual experiences, it still wasn't enough. So I was like, okay, well, that wasn't the whole thing. So what else? So that was the first part, right? The second part was I would use crystal meth, and I would have these very spiritual experiences. And I should mention, that's where I was like, I should mention that I am actually the voodoo queen. I'm literally the high witch that lives in the world today. And part of that process was going through the addiction. And so, like I said, I got to a point where I was no longer using it and having sex. I was then using it and then having these highly spiritual experiences where spirit would ride me all around the city. That's what we call it, like the spirit rides you, right? Like, I guess you would call it possession. And possession looks very different. It literally could be, my spirit guides could come into me and pull my attention to a painting or to a person walking. And I talk to that person. And then before I know, we exchange something, you know? Anywho. And so I remember, y'all, oh my God. Because now we're like towards the end of the addiction. And I say to myself, I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I pray to spirit. And I'm like, because at this time too, and trigger warning for anyone who may have been an intravenous drug user, at this point, I was injecting drug into my arm. And so every other week, I was what they would call overamping. And I call it overdosing. Like I was taking too much of a dosage. It wasn't a lethal dose, but it would wind me up every other week in any of the given hospitals from Lower Manhattan, all throughout Brooklyn. Like they would see me come in week after week or every other week and be like, okay, here they go again, y'all. Like I was treated as we've seen a lot of people who were addicts treated. Like they would treat me like I was the low of the low, and I experienced that, you know? And so I remember I was laying in the hospital bed on the gurney, and I remember saying, Spirit, if you don't allow me to be able to access this level of spirituality without being high, I'm going to die in this. And I'm not going to be good for none of us. Like all the spiritual work you got me doing, it won't be any good if I'm on the other side with you. Okay. And so I was like, I need to be physically here in order for that to happen. And so that was kind of the first part, right? And I prayed and I was like, Spirit, please make it to where I can never access spirit again while I'm high on crystal meth. I can only access it. And I need to access it at the same level when I am sober. And I kid you not, the last part is I'm laying in the hospital bed after another overamping, overdosing episode. And I remember laying in the hospital bed right over here at Woodhull. And God, I am just like, I'm at my bottom. I'm just at the lowest that you could go. And I remember being afraid. I was like, oh, it's going to hurt to get sober. I was like, it's going to be that period of time is going to hurt. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. I kept saying that. And I remember spirit, and I heard spirit say in my ear, and it was so like low. It was so like, but to the point to say, you won't be as uncomfortable then as you are now. And I swear to God, y'all, it was like somebody flipped a switch. And ever since then, I never used it. Like, you know, and I had a friend who, it just was divine timing. A friend called me and was like, hey, I saw you walking around the neighborhood and you look like crap. So, and they were like, you should come to a meeting with me. And then I went to an NA meeting with them, over here in Bed-Stuy. And, I hated it. It was awful. It was awful for me, but someone told me, say, hey, you know, you should try out other meetings. You should go to Crystal Meth Anonymous. You should go to Alcoholic Anonymous. You should try. And then in those, you should try different meetings because every single meeting has its own kind of spirit and ethos. And so that is how I got sober. That was my path to sobriety.
Well, just so much incredible stuff. And, you know, I'm in long-term recovery, and, you know, it's, even though the substances may be different, I heard a lot of my own story in there. And it just, so moving, and thank you for sharing that. I left New York, and I wound up getting into recovery. I got into recovery in Nashville, Tennessee. I just something inside of me told me I had friends down there, went to visit, and I even wrote a song at the time called "My Heart's Still Doing Time in Tennessee," and I wound up moving down there on a leap of faith. Something happened. I mean, it's a long story. I won't get into the details, but on a leap of faith, packed up the car. I had an apartment. That's all I had. Went down there. A friend drove down with me and my 3 cats and a dog. And I bought a futon on the way there because I didn't even have furniture. I put everything in UPS, had no furniture, got rid of everything. And I had to call the complex and say, what color is my carpet? They want to give me, a cover for the futon. I don't know what color to get. And they told me the color, and I went down there and everything fell into place. I mean, there were some tough times, but overall, my whole life turned around, everything. And so what you're saying, I totally feel that. And it's amazing, the miracle of that. And it's just you sharing that story. Just before you came in, I was telling Chevar about someone I came across yesterday in Harlem near Whole Foods who was writhing in drug-related pain. And this man was he was desperate. He had done, I don't even know what he did. People were trying to tell me what he did. And I said, I don't really care. This man is in trouble. We got to help him. And, somebody passed by and said, well, he's going to go in the hospital and be out in 5 minutes. I said, I don't care, because maybe those are the 5 minutes he'll need. And I'm not going to stop trying. And he told me to stop. He said, I don't want your help. I don't want your help. I said, you have a right to refuse it, but I have a right to give it. And, it just really kind of rededicated me to the fact that there's a lot of people who may not want the help, and they may not even, whatever the help is from anybody, they may not accept it, but there may be that one little tiny glimmer, that moment where the window opens, and I'm not willing to take the chance. And so when you were talking about that, it just resonated. Just yesterday, I had this moment of being able to just put stuff out there and see. And we were talking how prevention is like that in so many ways. We put so much out, we don't know it's going to work. When your spirit is ready, the rest happens. So I appreciate your sharing that. And that's an incredible story.
I want to speak to something really quick. Thank you for that, by the way. You mentioned about you moving away, right? So I want to be very clear too. I come from a big old family in Houston, Texas. Like, my given name, my last name is Dean, Willie Dean, right? And my family knows, the city of Houston knows my family's name so much that they call us them damn Deans, right? Like, it's epic. Y'all got to come witness it. Anywho, they wanted me to move home. Oh, they were like, you need to come home. You need to come home. And my thing was, I just knew in my mind, my spirit, I was like, I can't go to Houston and get over this drug, because then I'm going to forever be scared of the city of New York. Or is there ever going to be this cloud around it? And I was like, nope, the place where I picked this up is the place where I'm going to put this down. And that, I think, has made the most difference in Willie really being Willie the Genius, and my genius coming into play. Because the same community that saw me as a drug addict running around here looking a mess is the same community that sees me producing and showing up for my community organizing. They see it. They've seen it with their own eyes. So my sobriety isn't just for me. It's for them too. They stop me on the street all the time, and they're like, Willie, look at you. Like, oh, I get that day in and day out. And that keeps me on the straight and narrow, if you will, or straight as I can be, but you get it. You understand.
Oh, I get that part too.
Right,
Yes, I know Chevar has a follow-up, so
I have a ton of questions.
I know we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this again.
We definitely have to bring you back on, because there's so much we want to talk to you. I'm listening, and you have like a billion quotables, like. You said a lot, and I hope anyone who's listening, because like if you ever listen to our show, I act, although I'm a co-host, I also act parts of it as a listener, and I'm listening and I'm hearing, and like Ronnie said, your story is amazing, and isn't it for the weak of heart, right? You said that, right? And a lot of things we do are for the weak of heart. So I'm like 1 or 2 more questions, and we're gonna get out of here. And we're gonna bring it back to prevention really quickly, And this last question, like you think about your current role with eyes, like what was that aha moment when you're working with the coalition that you say, you know what, okay, this is what I need to do. This is a movement. Because again, Ronnie and I, we talk about it. There is no instant gratitude in the work that we do.
Yeah.
You'll get that gratitude 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the line when the young person you're working with is a full grown adult with a beard or a different look or what have you, and they walk up to you and say, Willie, thank you. Yeah. You're like, I don't know who you are.
Right. Yeah. You know what's so interesting that you say that? So I've been very intentional about like setting up my life post addiction, right? Like very intentional. So much so that yes, I'm an entertainer and producer and I own all aspects of the things that I produce and entertain with. I own and once again, back to my heritage, it's very important for me to own 100% of my soul, 100% of what I produce, all of it, right? Because my ancestors could not. And so, and I understand too, that's how my kids will be from the work I am doing today. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Bring me back to the question, please.
Your aha moment. Like your aha, yeah.
Aha. So with that, wait, where was I going? Aha. Okay. So I have set up systems to where, in my own life, to where things that are normally bastardized in these systems. So for instance, nonprofit work is still a part of the for-profit complex, right? Like it's still a part of capitalism, you know? And so it can only be so radical. And so I never wanted to be victim or fall victim to possibly taking money, siphoning money from the people or siphoning money from or resources from the people who it needs to go to. So that's why I made sure I built my company. You understand? Like my actual production company. And so even the thanks and the applause, I get that on stage. You know, I just staged Willie Gets Naked this summer to a sold out show and a 5-minute standing ovation. So I am intentional about making sure that, because I need a little bit of gratitude for what I do. Willie, you did a good job. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I also need to do this work, right? And so my aha moments have been that, unfortunately, these nonprofits are not very radical. They are not really doing the work. They're meeting deliverables, and that's about it. So much of the work that I do is outside of the realm of the organization and the coalition. It is, you know, my baby's calling me, and like I say, I'm a mother to a lot of queer and trans babies, and they call me, and you know, in moments where they may have relapsed, you know, and I'm using quotes because I don't like that term relapse, because it's not a linear path for anybody, right? It's getting sober, and they may end up staying with me for a little while, or I may have to take them to dinner or take them to buy groceries. There's so much work that is not built into the system that the system acts like, I guess, so what, we gonna act like they don't need to eat, you know, or like HMI, we do incredible work. But 1 meal a day does not sustain a human being. I mean, it's good. It is good. You get what I'm saying? But like, it's not everything. And we are full human beings with full experiences, with full hopes and dreams. And we deserve to have each one of those things honored. And that's why I take a more holistic approach. I understand that some, you know, to take it to here real quick, some of these babies have never been parented, really, right? They've been kicked out for being queer and trans. They've been kicked out for various reasons, right? You're 18, so now you got to go out there in a city like New York and try to fend for yourself. That is hard. I don't care how old you are. New York City is hard, especially at 18 or 16 even. And so it's these things that are happening concurrently, right? The parenting, but also helping give them the tools to be successful, to put down whatever substances they may be using, and then prevent any further usage or any the onset of any other, you know, lateral movement of drug usage or substance usage, if you will. So that has been an aha moment, is that these 501c3s ain't the way. You will not, I think, I'm going to mess this up, but something to the effect of like, you can't legislate someone's heart. You cannot 501c3 care. You just can't do it. Care is an all day, every day. It is consistent. I get calls at 3 o'clock in the morning and I answer. I answer, and sometimes I have to say, y'all, that ain't important, go to bed, And so it's an honor for me to be able to do that. And so I think the aha moment is that you actually are a mother and get into that role, get to work, and so that's part of it.
I got one final question.
Yeah.
I want you to think back to when Willie was a youngin', right? When Willie was thinking about what their future would be like. What did young Willie want to be when they became older? Like for me, I wanted to be a NASCAR driver and a firefighter. I have no idea why, but I'm neither one. but what did young Willie want to be when they were younger? But when they became older?
Yeah, like what did you want to be when you grew up?
An entertainer.
Oh, there you go. At least one of us got it.
It's not.
Well, that was my dream too.
Oh yeah, at least two of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a professional musician and I played professionally for many years. And even when I was, every time I've held a full-time job, except for recently, I was always in a band or playing music. But yeah, I wanted to be a rock star, and Chevar likes to tell me I still am. So
you are.
Definitely are rock star.
Thank you, Willie.
We're definitely gonna perform. We're gonna make this happen, okay?
I would love to.
Oh, we're gonna love this. I got goosebumps again. One more thing though, I wanted to be, and it's still there somewhere. I wanted to be an astronaut.
I also want to be an astronaut. Also, I still want to be an astronaut. When out of space.
Okay. It's so fascinating. So, little known fact, my first job in high school was at NASA.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
I worked at the Office of Criminal Investigation inside of NASA.
Oh,
how cool was that?
You live a wealthy life.
That ties back to me being the voodoo queen. Like, spirit is, I've been in all the right places at the right time. I mean, I moved to New York with one of Beyonce's artists from Houston. Like, everything has been charmed in my life. And I was like, wait a minute. What if I start using this for the greater good of humanity? What does that look like?
Absolutely.
And so I want to go back to NASA and I want to go up in one of them ships.
Yeah, you will. You will.
We will.
We will. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to go. Thank you.
Well, I don't think I'll realize my other dream when I was a kid. I wanted to be a veterinarian. So that one, I'm willing to. I'm just have a dog. But anyway, we hate to have to say it, but we've run out of time. But we want to have you back because I think we just opened the door today, and we've got so much more to talk about. So Chevar and I are going to stick around, close out the show.
Before Willie leaves, can you share any information on how people can get in contact with you, see your shows, the nighttime talk show, and your play, or do you have social medias anything you want to share?
So I told y'all we were going through a portal. I told you it was happening, right? We opened it up. Yes, if you want to contact Willie, just I'm a witch. Just think about me, and I will show you.
Oh my goodness!
Go into this. On Instagram, you can find me at Willie the Genius. That's Willie with an IE, so that's WILLIETHE Genius. And you can find me on everything: YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm not really active on Twitter, but I'm there, or X, or whatever they call it now. And so we'll be bringing Willie Gets Naked back next year. In 2024, just look forward to all the things. I got a whole bunch of stuff coming down the pipeline. So, yes, jump on it.
Send us the info. We'll put it definitely with the episode information and also stuff in our newsletter. So we want to make sure that we get your information out there.
Yeah, we're gonna have Lenore reach out to you, possibly interview you for our newsletter, if that's okay.
Sounds good. Thank y'all so much for having me today. Y'all,
pleasure.
Ronni, Chevar, y'all do incredible work. I've been looking forward to this just because of you personally and the work that you do. Okay. Thank y'all for having me. And I look forward to coming back. Okay.
All right. We'll hope to see you soon.
Hey, y'all. Bye, y'all. Have a great one.
You too.
That was powerful. That was a lot to absorb. It was good. I love talking to Willie, and Willie shares a lot, and that's why I wanted to, when I asked the question if they felt comfortable, I didn't want to push it on them,
Well, Willie shares so much great stuff, and it comes out of their spirit. And, you know, a lot of people are going to hear this stuff and they're going to be inspired. So I thank Willie for being here today. But, you know, I think it's time that let me see. I feel like it's time we ended for the moment, because a lot of what we talked about today is the kind of stuff that people need to process too.
Absolutely.
But thank you everybody for being here, for watching, for listening. Spread the word about our podcast. Subscribe. There's a button in there somewhere, and you know, we'll let Chevar close us out.
Yes, this is the solution. Nothing changes if we change nothing.